If you're a designer, you've totally been there. You have this brilliant idea, and suddenly it just hits a wall of business jargon. All of a sudden, it's all about margins, metrics, and stakeholders. So in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on concepts like return on investment, or ROI, and customer acquisition cost, also known as CAC. We're going to give you the tools to connect your design work straight to the bottom line, so you can speak the language of business and really boost your impact.
Okay, let's just dive right into this quote. This feeling is incredibly common, even for people at the very top of their game. Here we have Ryan Rumsey, a super experienced design leader, talking about his move from Apple to EA. He had the skills, he had the talent, but something was just getting lost in translation. And that really nails the problem we're talking about today. Even the most amazing designers can feel lost if they can't bridge that gap between the creative world and the business world.
Yeah, it can feel just like this, like you're tumbling through a storm of spreadsheets and charts and hearing all these terms you never ever learned in design school. You know your work has value, but you just feel totally disconnected from the big conversations that are actually moving the company forward. Our whole goal today is to turn all that chaos into clarity for you.
And to do that, we've got a roadmap. First up, we're going to talk about shifting your thinking from designer to strategist. Then we'll decode how businesses actually win. What are their models? What do their costs look like? After that, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of the metrics that really matter. Then we'll figure out how to navigate the key decision makers in your company. And finally, we'll bring it all home, connecting your design work directly to the company's financial health.
So, let's get into part one, making that mental shift from designer to strategist. Think of this as your wake-up call, because to really have more influence, you first got to understand the real challenge you're up against. And here it is. It's usually not about your design skills or whether your idea's good, it's a communication gap. Just like Rumsey realized, he was speaking the language of empathy and aesthetics while his colleagues were talking about revenue, costs, and market share. To really make an impact, you've got to become bilingual. Which is the perfect lead-in to our second section, where we're going to build that second language. You can think of this as your Rosetta Stone for translating design value into business impact. We're going to cover the fundamental concepts that are behind pretty much every single business decision. And it all boils down to this beautifully simple equation. Seriously, revenue is the money coming in, costs are the money going out, and what's left over is profit. Every decision a business makes is ultimately judged by how it impacts this formula. And here's where you come in. Your design can either increase revenue or it can decrease costs. It's really that simple and that powerful.
So you might be wondering, if every business is using that same equation, how does anybody actually win? Well, they create a competitive advantage. It's their unique edge. For a company like Apple, that's their incredible design. For Geico, it's all about low prices. And this advantage isn't static, right? It changes depending on where the company is in its life. For startup, the advantage is speed. For a mature company, it's efficiency. You need to be asking yourself, what's our advantage right now? And how does my design work make it even stronger?
Now, that competitive advantage plays out through a company's business model. Let's take a quick look. With a subscription model like Netflix, design is all about keeping people engaged so they don't cancel. For a marketplace like Etsy, design has to be great for two different groups, the buyers and the sellers. And with a freemium model like Slack, the free experience is your marketing. So do you know your company's model? Because understanding it is the key to figuring out where your design work can have the biggest impact. All right, we've got the language, we've got the models. Now for section 3, let's talk numbers. If a business is on a journey, then metrics are its map and compass. They tell you where you are, where you're headed, and if you're even on the right path. And here's a number that probably keeps a lot of executives up at night. According to Twilio Segment, the cost for a business to get a new customer, what we call CAC, has jumped by almost 70% in just the last 6 years. It is getting way, way more expensive to grow. That's why businesses are obsessed with the LTV to CAC ratio. Basically, how much a customer is worth over their lifetime versus what it costs to get them. If you spend $100 to get a customer, you better be making a lot more than $100 back from them. And that's exactly where you come in. Think about it. When it costs a fortune to find new customers, what becomes incredibly valuable? Keeping the customers you already have. This one question changes everything. Great design isn't just a cost. It's a powerful weapon for improving customer retention, which makes the whole business healthier and directly fights back against those rising costs. And check this out. This formula is how you prove it. The ROI of retention equation is your new secret weapon. It might look a little mathy, but it's actually pretty simple. You start with your total number of customers. Then you multiply that by the extra percentage of customers you're keeping around because of your design work. Then you just multiply that by how much each customer is worth. And boom, the result is real, measurable, new revenue you just created.
Okay, so you've learned the language, you get the metrics, you can even connect your work to the bottom line. But your brilliant ideas still need to get a green light. So Section 4 is all about the people, the key players who have the power to say yes or no.
And for that, you need a map, a stakeholder map. It's a super simple way to figure out who in your organization has power and who's open to trying new things. And look, this isn't about office politics. It's pure strategy. Your CEO cares about growth. Your CFO cares about profitability. This map helps you understand what they care about so you can frame the value of your design in a language that actually matters to them. Now, here is a pro tip, a really crucial insight. Most of us make the mistake of going straight to the champions, the execs with all the power. But here's the thing. Champions hate risk. They need proof. The secret is to start with your sidekicks. These are the folks who are willing to try stuff out. You partner with a sidekick, you run a small experiment, you get some data, and you build a killer case study. Then you take that undeniable proof to the champion to get the big, company-wide change you want.
All right, this is it, our final and most important section. We've laid all the groundwork, now it's time to put it all into practice and prove, once and for all, the financial value of your work. This is how you bring home the treasure.
To make your case, you have to know how the company keeps score. And that's the P&L, or the profit and loss statement. Your goal is to show how your work makes that statement look better. This 5-step recipe from user interviews is the perfect way to do it. You start by identifying a problem, you define your goals, estimate the costs, and then you do the math and share the results. Let's make this super real with a simple example. A university had this online registration form that was a total nightmare to use, which meant they were spending a ton of money on support staff. On a P&L statement, that's a big expense. So by redesigning the form to be clearer, they slashed the number of support hours. Look at those numbers. That is a direct cost saving of over $17,000 every single semester. That's design directly shrinking the cost side of that profit equation. So what's the final return on investment? Let's do the math. The project cost about $10,000 to complete. But in just the first semester, the university saw a net benefit of about $7,450. That's an ROI of 74.5%. For every single dollar they spent on design, they got almost $1.75 back. Now that is a number that makes the CFO very, very happy. And that right there, that's the whole point. When you can actually calculate and communicate the financial impact of your work, the entire conversation changes. It's no longer about subjective stuff like whether a button should be blue or green. It becomes an objective discussion about real business value. You're not just a designer anymore. You're a strategic partner who gets the business and knows how to make it healthier.
So, I'm going to leave you with this question to think about. We all know your design is good, it's valuable, it's user-centered. But the next step, the thing that will truly level up your career, is being able to answer this question. Does it make money or does it save money? When you can confidently say yes and back it up with numbers that tie directly to your company's goals, that's when you've truly mastered business thinking for designers.